How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this week's Q&A. So like any other week, if you want a chance to any questions being answered, make sure you drop a comment down below. If I haven't answered your question and it's been a few weeks, make sure you drop that question once again. It's possible I didn't see it or something just else came up. Also, it's also possible that I am doing some research to answer that question for you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the first question of the week. And it is what is going on with some of these newer cars with the full LED headlights, with some of them turning on and flickering and things of that nature. So typically what happens here in these cases is it's either a headlight issue or something with the BCM. Now the BCM, they could, we've seen some faulty ones doing some weird stuff, and at times could light up like the LED light bar or the turn signal light bar or things of that nature. Other thing we see, and we see this a lot of, is either moisture in that headlight, and sometimes that comes with other wacky stuff like turning on the ignition or turning on the wipers or things of that nature. Or oftentimes aftermarket headlights we see also are causing this issue. So obviously if there's moisture in the headlight, you need to get it fixed. Now, if there's no moisture in the headlight and you have an OEM headlight, there's possibly something with the BCM going on. Has to be thoroughly diagnosed and make sure it's not the light itself. If you have an aftermarket headlight, it's not made out of the same stuff. It is obviously cheaper for a reason. So that is going to be issued 9 out of 10 times. So if you're not sure what's going on, you're trying to diagnose this yourself, it's a pretty complex system. Although, if you have aftermarket headlight, that would be my go-to for, first of all. If it has any sort of cracks, moistures, or anything like that, usually there's condensation in it. Sometimes there isn't, so just make note of that. If you see any cracks or anything like that, obviously I would do the headlight before doing anything else. So hopefully that answers the question for you. So this next question is, what are some symptoms of a dying battery? This question was directed to a hybrid, although this will apply to almost any vehicle. So when a vehicle's battery is dying, number one thing will be either A, it doesn't start, you'll get a click, 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 or something like that. That could also be a starter, or you'll get an extremely slow crank, and then the car sometimes will start, sometimes it won't. Sometimes a dying battery will start, you drive it for 10, 20 minutes, you go out and do some errands, you come back to the car, and then that doesn't start. These extreme weather, so when it goes from really hot to really cold, takes a toll on these batteries. If it's more than 3 years old, I would absolutely recommend replacing it. 3 to 5 years. If the last 5 years, it's pretty much a miracle nowadays on newer cars. My car, 3 years, I get them changed, and that's that. Also, if your car does have auto stop start feature, it's possible that that won't work because the system is detecting that there is a weak battery in the vehicle, and it just won't let it do that feature. I think it's a feature that shouldn't be in a vehicle, but that's not a decision that I get to make, although that is something else that could also be a sign of a dying battery. Again, if it's 3 years old, get it tested, and also if it passes, turn on the lights for like 5 minutes. If it changes significantly, so if your cold cranking amps drop significantly, get it changed. It's better to be safe than sorry, because chances are if your battery's going to die, it's going to be at the single-handedly worst time that it could possibly be, in a single-handedly worst scenario. Usually that's how it happens. It doesn't happen in a convenient type of way. So hopefully that answers the question for you. So this next question is, what are some of the benefits or disadvantages of 530 versus 0W20? So before anything, 0W20 is strictly for EPA targets and emissions and stuff like that, and fuel economy. So it has nothing to do with it being better for your engine or whatnot. Even Toyota is using 0W16, and I believe they have like all the way down to like 0W8 or something like that, which is just crazy. So the only advantage, in my opinion, and you can have a different opinion, drop a comment down below if you do, is for EPA purposes. Now, I switched my vehicle to 5W30, and that is because as these engines, and as you also add power, now the oil breaks down faster. So 5W30 is going to offer significant better wear protection for your vehicle. Obviously, make sure the oil, and this is more important than anything, has all the requirements for your vehicle, whether it's Honda, whether it's BMW, whether it's Mercedes, Audi, Ford, GM. They all sometimes have different requirements. So just make sure it meets those requirements, and then use the grade that you choose. I choose 5W30 on both my vehicles, and even more so once the car is modified, it's producing more power than its target design, and just takes a bigger toll, and especially if the vehicle is turbo and we have some of these dilution issues. So my personal opinion, I use 5W30. Now, use this at your own risk. If your car already has an issue and you happen to put 5W30 in it and it produces a raw knock, then don't put the blame on me. But this is what I use. This is what I like to use on my vehicles. And more importantly, again, make sure it has all the requirements it meets, and make sure you're doing your oil change between 3,000 to 5,000 miles, and you shouldn't have any issues. So hopefully that answers the question for you. If you have any additional questions, drop a comment down below. The next question is a J35 current years with the 9-speed transmission. Is it better to invest in that one or wait for the new redesigned model with the new J35 with the dual overhead cam with the 10-speed transmission? And yes, that's going to be the powertrain in it. So the Pilot has that powertrain. The new Passport coming out has that powertrain. It only makes sense that the next generation Ridgeline and Odyssey are going to have that powertrain as well. The Odyssey already has a 10-speed transmission, but it's going to have that new J35 in it with the dual overhead cam setup. So my only dilemma with that, I think overall there should be a mixed combination here. So I would prefer the 9-speed transmission to not make it into the next generation, which it won't. So I would prefer a 10-speed transmission with the current J35 in it with the single overhead cam in it. From what I see, that new J35 has a couple issues where it may produce oil leaks at the VTC gears and cam gears themselves long term. And we don't have too many sample sizes with high-end miles with these vehicles, so time will tell. But that is one of my concerns with them developing oil issues there at that point. So I would prefer the J35 in the current Pilots and stuff, so the single overhead cam with the 10-speed transmission, but obviously that's not going to happen. So also doing these time belts on these new J35s with the dual overhead cam heads seems to be an absolute nightmare from what everyone is telling me. This engine comes in the TLX, the MDX, and the Pilot at this point. So the bottom ends are a little bit different, but the heads are essentially the same, and the time belt is the same thing. So just seems to be really tight. A lot of techs are having a hard time doing this. So having this job done outside is probably not going to happen, at least for a while now. And if it does happen, you do need special tools to lock the cam gears in place to install the time belt correctly. So just some things to consider here. If I had my say, I would say single J series with the 10-speed transmission would be the best combination. Now, I know the 9-speed gets a lot of hate, but it's really not that bad of a transmission. We have a ton more issues with the 6-speed from Honda and some of these vehicles that offer the 6-speed transmission. So do your maintenance on the 9-speed every 30,000 miles, and most times they do shift a little funky, but they don't seem to have any catastrophic damage. So hopefully that answers the question for you. And I think overall the new Ridgeline, if it looks anything like the Passport, it's going to be great. But again, I'm probably going to end up getting one personally because I think it's a very versatile vehicle for the average homeowner that doesn't need a full-size pickup. But that would be my only concern with that, the heads and the time belt package there being a challenge for some people. So again, hopefully that answers the question for you. So last but not least, question of the week. And if you saw my video this week on the TLX Type S, MDX Type S, base MDX, and even the base TLX transfer case issues happening, it raised a lot of questions. If you haven't watched it, go and watch. It's a video from past Wednesday. I'll drop a link in the description section down below. If you're curious, I go into detailed information, and I'll kind of highlight some of that stuff here. So what's happening is essentially the splines from the output shaft of the transmission where they meet the input shaft of the transfer case are stripping and making the car essentially two-wheel drive only. So naturally speaking, people are concerned with their RDX and Pilots and stuff like that. Now, the RDX, the TLX, and the TLX Type S all share the same transfer case, which raises, again, the question of, will this happen to my RDX? And chances are probably not, because two reasons. A, the RDX has less power, and B, typically how people drive the RDX is not how a person will drive the TLX Type S. For instance, now it is happening to some TLX base models with the SH all-wheel drive, so that would be a question for and reason for concern. So it could happen. It does use the same transfer case, so it's a possibility to happen. Will it happen to your Pilot? Maybe, maybe not. I haven't seen it yet on the 23 Pilots, and the Pilots before this had a different transfer case. all these new 10-speed transmissions kind of have the transfer case. The thing that concerns me with the Pilot, and I'm going to have a follow-up video on this, is they have a magnesium case from what I could tell. And I think that may pose an issue with some wear long term, maybe not stripping the gear or the splines, but some internal damage itself. That would be my concern with that. Also, the MDX and the MDX Type S use different transfer cases, and it's also a different transfer case number from the Pilot. Now, from what I can see, I did a quick eBay search, and the MDX, a non-Type S, seems to have a magnesium case as well, from what I could tell in the pictures itself. And the MDX Type S seems to have your normal aluminum casted transfer case. Now, again, both of those are having issues with the spline stripping. We haven't seen anything on the Pilot, but only time will tell, unfortunately. If you have one of these vehicles, if you have any new vehicle, doesn't matter if it's Honda, Acura, Toyota, BMW, Ford, purchase the manufacturer's extended warranty. I promise you, it'll be well worth it in the long run. Hopefully you don't need it. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, in my opinion. So if any of these issues develop on the Pilot, I will certainly make a video about it. If you had an RDX with a transfer case failure where it made it essentially two-wheel drive only, let me know. Drop us a comment in the comment section down below. So like that, you know, we could talk amongst each others and educate each other as much as possible. Sometimes the consumer doesn't say there's an issue. Obviously, there's a lot of times that people don't come out into the forums, don't come on YouTube and express their situations. So if you did happen to have one of these situations, I want to know about it so we could have a better idea of what's going on and understanding. If you do have one of these transfer cases that fail, report it to the appropriate website. I have a link to that description as well in the comment section down below. So with that being said, I'll catch everyone on the next one.